The last day of the 68th Vuelta, and we are rolling along. Nothing too serious, you might think. Well, it's pretty serious for those who've not made it to the final day. We started off this morning having begun this event with 197 riders, let's not forget. 50 odd have not made it, unfortunately, to the final day. It's quite a high attrition rate, although yesterday it didn't seem that many actually stepping off the bike. Stepping up to the action was Alejandro Valverde. Had a great final day, finished in third place, in fact just behind Chris Horner, who was of course the man who ate up all of the breakaways. There was 31 yesterday. Kenny Elizondo staying away for Francis Lejeune, and doing it yet again for French youth. There's the only team that are still at full strength, incidentally, Euskadi. They are here and looking for an outside chance of taking the team title, so they'll be pretty animated when they get towards the end. They may even decide to be part of a break. We're not expecting anything too significant to happen until we actually get to the final laps. They will be with us fairly shortly. In fact, we'll cross the finish line in around about 15 kilometers time, and then we have 8 laps of 5.7 kilometers in total, so you'll have pretty advanced view of exactly what they're going to deal with on the finish line today. It is a little bit technical. There is a rather nasty hairpin at the Flamme Rouge, and you'll have to accelerate very hard out of that. There's a slight uphill ramp before a kink with 300 meters to go, and then the finish line. It's not really much more complicated than that, to be honest. It's sort of a three-legged star, a bit like a Mercedes badge, let's put it that way, albeit melted in the oven. But yes, so you've got 3 sort of strands to the circuit in Madrid. Temperature 29 Celsius, and slowly but surely getting hotter and hotter. There is the man that everyone is talking about at the moment. It's been a phenomenal end to a very, very long career. I'm sure he's going to ride on next year. Famously, he's still looking for a contract. Somebody's bound to hand him one, especially as he'll be presumably wanting to defend this. Vincenzo Nibali, the Giro d'Italia champion, nursing the combined white jersey today, and yeah, saying that he felt not robbed but pleased with his own performance, that he had defended the leader's jersey here at the Vuelta with great honour. And I think, Sean Kelly, that is exactly the way he rode it. Nibali, he kept the flame alive until the very last climb of this year's event.
Very much so. You know, what a final we had yesterday on the Angliru. Nibali, you know, attacking very early, and it looked like the first attack he seemed to have Horner in difficulty, and it was just man against man. You know, took that 8 or 10 second advantage, but when we see Horner the way he was performing the last number of days, he was very impressive. Nibali also very impressive in the earlier part of this race, but the last 3 or 4 days started to tire a bit, but didn't, you know, lie down yesterday. He just put in a huge attacks on the final climb, and what attacks they were. You know, we could see, you know, the way they were fighting for the to win this Vuelta. It was just a spectacular mountaintop finish, and you know, chapeau to them all. Nibali tried everything in the book he could do. I think he's tried. The only thing I was a little bit disappointed with, his teammates weren't with him a little bit earlier, but hard to make the calculation on the climb because it's so steep there. You can't really slow down that much because you're going so slow anyway on the steep sections. If you do slow down waiting for your lead, you're going to fall over. So it was a difficult climb to make the calculation of getting teammates back to him, but you know, Horner, he just was cool. The first attack, he, you know, didn't react immediately, and I think he felt that the best way is just to, you know, close down Nibali with this sudden acceleration of speed, slow him down at his pace little by little, and it was certainly that way because there was the first attack there. He was closing him down foot by foot for a long time, and you know, we see the other guys then, of course, the general classification. It was just an unbelievable final mountaintop finish, and you know, for all the places on the general classification, it was all up for yesterday. When you see that, you know, at the moment, right down 5-6 place, they all had to fight so much, they all had to go so deep to preserve their places.
Well, they're going to have to go deep if you are a quick man today. I'm really not sure what this toy is that they keep handing out, but there you go. We just saw Jens van Rensburg a moment ago, still carrying a few bumps and bruises, Sean, from a fall. Probably knocked out his chance of being part of the sprint today, and that's really the way we're thinking. It is going to be for the quick men. It's really their game today. The rest of it very much a parade in honour of our champion, Chris Horner. So it will be a fast man's festival. We were discussing at the top of the show, I don't know if you caught it, that Tyler Farrar, great chance for him and Garmin Sharp. And in fact, Binga Fernandez was director sportif, actually quite open about the fact that they're a little bit disappointed with Tyler Farrar and that hope he will grasp the nettle today. He should certainly be one of the top 3 contenders for doing something on this last chance.
Yes, well, when you look at the sprinters that are left in this race, Tyler Farrar should be up there, but it depends how he's been getting through the last number of days, and this race has been, an unbelievably difficult race for the sprinters to get through. All the way through the 3 weeks, there have been so much difficult terrain, so many mountain stages. It is a very, very tiring race, and that is going to be, I think, the problem today. And if Tyler Farrar has got through the last number of days without having to really dig in deep to the reserves, well, then he should be able to be up there. But there could be some of the other riders who are recovering quite well, and there are a couple of them. Haydo, of course, from Cannondale, he's also been up there quite a few times. It's going to be a day for the sprinters, but which one is going to come out on top? Will there be somebody maybe in the final who can steal a march? It's highly unlikely. We haven't seen it here in Madrid. It's always down to a sprint in the last number of years. But again, a Bosenhagen in the last kilometre, he could try something. If he feels that in the sprint he can't, win it in an outright sprint, we could see somebody like that having an attack. But I think it's going to be down to the sprinters. But which one? That is a difficult one to see at this moment.
Certainly is. So, Sean, we've had so much drama within this Vuelta. I guess it's time really to have a consideration as to what has been among our favourite moments. They kind of started to roll through and dig into our consciousness. Every single stage had offered up something. We had that time trial, which incidentally, the team time trial, which started us all off, and it nearly finished a few off, including Chris Horner, who eventually has come out as winner. Said that it was very difficult to keep up with Fabian Cancellara, but we had that explosive team time trial. And then what a way, at least for us, Sean, to actually introduce ourselves to the event proper when we went racing. And Nicholas Roach came through and took stage through on the Monte de Groba. What a day that turned out to be.
Yes, well, I think Roach has had a fabulous tour. He's really, performed at a higher level again. Unfortunately, the weather conditions, I think, caught him out on that very, very wet, cold day in the Pyrenees. The first day coming from the real warm conditions, he did not adapt to it, and he paid the price there. And I suppose, yes, if you're reared in the Côte d'Azur, it's difficult to be able to do that. So he's not really a real paddy in that way, because if you're born around, he would support it a bit more. But again, he's had a fabulous race, and it's for me, it's just I'm wondering, if we had not got that sudden change of conditions, because he was really up in the overall classification, looked like he was going for a place in the podium. Would he been able to hold on there? Looking at the way he's performed right up to this end, I think he would have put in a great battle and possibly on the podium. But yes, the weather conditions was the same for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, Daniel Martin, of course, great disappointment, if you want the opposite end of the scales, for Irish fans, going out very, very early, unfortunately. So nullifying Garmin Sharp's bid for the GC courtesy of Dan Martin. And then, of course, Chris Horner, it was our eventual winner, who went into red after the Valagarcia stage 3, which he took ahead of Valverde. Joaquin Rodriguez already very much part of proceedings, getting on the podium then, ahead of Uran, who just started to fade a little bit. Both he and Henao never really lit it up in the mountains for Sky. We'll continue with more after this.
Hello, we're Dacia. We don't do frivolity. Function's our thing. It's how we keep quality high and prices low. But research suggests that a touch of frivolity might make a car seem more appealing. So, just in case. Happy? The Dacia range from 5995. And look at this. The Dacia Duster was named BBC Top Gear magazine's Bargain of the Year 2012. You do the maths.
There you go, sir.
Big top.
Forrest.
For our best football odds, talk to Victor.
This is Virgin Media's super-fast fibre-optic broadband, and this is regular broadband. Out of shape. These people are about to download a film. Let's see which broadband is quicker. I wonder. Richard's turned up. They're off. Well, one of them's off. The other is, according to my legal team, 4 times slower. And there we have it. Film downloaded. He's a big lad, isn't he? Still going. Oh dear. Search Challenge Your Broadband today.
Now you see it. Now you, see it.
Yes, Betty, that's the point. We don't hide our charges.
With a loan from Wonga.com, you choose how much you want to borrow and for how long, and we tell you the total cost.
You know exactly what you have to pay up front, so there are no surprises.
For a short-term loan on your terms, visit Wonga.com. Wonga.com. Straight talking money.
Yokohama, your tire.
Welcome back. It is that roll to Madrid. It will be one for the sprinters by the time we get there, but it's very much a celebration day today. It is always thus, it seems, when we get to the final. The Cibeles fountain awaits us to finish this off. The Cibeles fountain, I beg your pardon, not a chair. So 8 times 5.7 kilometres to round off. No sign of any breaks yet. It is very much a parade today, albeit on a highway, and the fans have started to line the bridges just to offer up their applause. And well, if you've watched this year's Vuelta, the 68th running, you'd be enthralled by what you've seen. Remember stage 4, the Fan del Mundo, the end of the earth, where Moreno and Cancellara, it was 1 and 2. Fabian still here. He's departed early after doing some great driving work. In fact, he was the man that drove on the boys from Radio Shack to finish runner-up to Astana in that team time trial. In fact, Chris Horner saying that it was the hardest thing he'd done in the whole of the Vuelta. That, indeed, even harder, he said, than yesterday's climb up Langley-Rue. And, well, I guess it would be for a small guy trying to stay with Fabian Cancellara, who, of course, is bidding for the World Championship team time trial. Then we moved on to the Lago Sanabria, stage 5. Matthews taking that, and it was our first real eyeballs out sprint, I guess you might say. Horner with victory in Val Garcia on a day it was supposed to be for the sprinters, but nasty little peaks towards the end put paid to that. And so we got to Sanabria, and it was Matthews against Richesi. And Richesi's had a great run. He may be a pick for today, Sean. He was second on stage 5, and then second behind Morkov on stage 6, the day that Tony Martin had his heart broken. So will Richesi take that extra step, do you think, today?
Well, I think he is looking good in the race. In any of the sprints we've had, the bunch sprints, unfortunately there haven't been many of them in this Vuelta this year, but anytime we've had one, he's been up there. And you know, to get this far in the race, I think he's going to try and get something out of it. But he did have a fall a number of days ago as well. He had a lot of road rash. I see him 2 days ago, but hopefully he's recovered. But you know, he is one of the sprinters in there, and he will certainly give it his all today.
Do you remember as well how many breakaway successes we've had? Some went early, some went late. The longest of all was that stage 6 to Caceres, Tony Martin. What a heartbreak that was, Sean. One of the highlights, I think, of this year's Vuelta. It was an amazing ride of 174.9 kilometres. He just lost out with 20 metres to go.
Yes, well, and less than that. I think it was an amazing ride, and we could see that they were not allowing him to get a big advantage, because they know Tony Martin. If you give him a huge advantage as a lone breakaway, which he can do with other riders, they never gave him that. And then in the final 10 kilometres to go, you could see him just hanging out there in the front of the bunch. 5 kilometres to go, they had him just leaving him out there, and then it was 10 seconds with about 3Ks to go, and he just turned it up again and held him off, and it looked like that he was going to hold all the way, and just overtaken in the sprint in the final 5-6 metres.
And it was Michael Morkoff that took that. Lovely bloke. He was almost overshadowed by the efforts and the plaudits to Tony Martin that day. And then another winner from another nation, Stybar. Fantastic. Just keeping it rolling through. Morkoff, the Great Dane, and Stybar of the Czech Republic, and he wasn't to be the last. In fact, it was back-to-back for the Czechs when Koenig took a step forward as well for Netap Endura. Stybar beating the world champion, who's defending that jersey, of course, Philippe Gilbert. That was on stage 7, and then Koenig for Netap Endura. Fantastic to see a wildcard team delivering a victory as they did at Peñas Blancas.
Yes, it was a great performance, and of course Netap not alone just getting the stage victory, but they were in the breakaways every day. They were always present, and as a wildcard team, that's what you would expect. They try be up there in the breakaways in the very earlier stages, but then to win a stage like that was really the icing on the cake, and it made their wildcard entry to the organisers. It looked like that they deserved to be there, and they were certainly showing that even before they got the stage victory.
Another day's podium that day for Nicholas Roche, finishing behind Daniel Moreno, who started to make us wonder whether he indeed would be the principal for Katusha. Rodriguez was to shine brightly later on. On stage 9 at Valdepeñas, Moreno took the victory, going one better than the previous day, ahead of Valverde and his teammate Rodriguez, with Nicholas Roche finishing in 4th place. Another brave effort by Nicholas. Moreno tidying that one up. Horner taking another stage victory, stage 10. Nibali, it was, finishing behind him. And then Valverde. Kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? Stage 10 finishing order was indeed our overall classification at the end of this race. It kind of gave us a window, really, into what was likely to happen. Hazaleñas, the day before the first rest day, fantastic. Then the individual time trial. Tony Martin had set a blistering time, but Fabian Cancellara just bossed everybody. And it was a stunning victory. The gap between Cancellara and Martin, big bragging rights ahead of the World Championships, Sean.
Yes, well, we were all waiting for the time trial. We could see that both the two big time trials in the race, Tony Martin and Fabian Cancellara, were in excellent form. But when Tony Martin went out there and did that unbelievable performance, it looked like maybe he was, a little bit of an advantage to Tony Martin. But, Cancellara, he just put in one of these super time trials, which he's capable of doing, and, won the time trial convincingly. But he also, the way he was riding in some of the more difficult stages, riding on the front of the bunch, and we did hear many times from Christopher Horner, the work of Cancellara is unbelievable.
Then to stage 12, Tarragona, and this is where you have to use your head in a day that was believed to be teed up for the sprinters, just like today. And as they come into Madrid, and the Olays ring out around the stands, let us cast our mind back to stage 12 and just remember that it was Philippe Gilbert, the world champion, that beat Edvald Bosenhagen, Richesi, Paolini, Meersman. All the big sprinters were there, but it was about using your mind, Sean, to pick your way through it. And today we might see something similar.
Yes, it's possible that we could see something similar. A little bit more difficult today because it's pan flat, and there is only 3 corners really that you have to get about on the circuit of 5.7 kilometers. When when Philip Gilbert went in the attack on that occasion, it was a bit more difficult. It was quite technical, also a little bit more difficult up and down. So I think today it's going to be quite a bit more difficult to get a breakaway formed in the final number of kilometres.
Well, the pace is rising, as you can see. Finally, they've saved everything in their legs for this moment. We're heading for our first passage over the finish line, the start-finish line, if you like, of what will be a criterium of 8 laps of 5.7 kilometres. We're just going through what has been an amazing Vuelta. Castelfels it was on stage 13. Bargoy unveiled to us, revealed to us the young Frenchman beating Nocentini and Bocca Mollema, who had, well, flattered to deceive perhaps at the beginning. Mollema just finding himself slowly but surely. Rato it was in front of Nibali and Horner into Andorra, and then the Peyregoud and Geniez doing it yet again, and more French victories to hand for young riders. Brilliant. So was Roche that day, finished third behind Scarponi with Nibali, Valverde, Horner, Rodriguez, you know the familiar names all involved. Formigal, Barguil again, amazing, ahead of Uran, Huzarski and Nertz. And then we had our rest day into Burgos. Mollema getting a stage and saving his Vuelta, and then Cadbarga with Kirienka doing an amazing job solo for Sky, the metal man, the Iron Man, and then Rodriguez, Ulissi, Moreno, Sanchez, Horner, Valverde. They were all involved in Oviedo, that stunning stage 19. And then, of course, yesterday, and, well, you know the story, we had another young Frenchman taking it, Elizondo, the last of the breakers. There was 31 riders up there, but the big names came to the fore. They went toe-to-toe, and in the end, whatever Nibali could do, it was Horner that matched him. And then in the end, he stretched his legs, and he went, dragging Valverde with him. Elizondo taking the day ahead of Horner, Valverde, and Nibali. And Horner going into the lead, having trailed by 3 seconds on stage 19. He led by 3. Nibali knew he had to go for it. His team had to work for him. It didn't quite happen. And Horner is our champion. So we come to the line. It is this line where they will ring the bell for the final lap. We have 8 to deal with in total of 5.7 kilometres. But here are the gladiators, Sean, and what a welcome they are getting in the dappled sunshine and beautiful warm temperatures here in Madrid.
Yes, well, I think all the riders that are coming over the finish line here, getting onto the final laps, they deserve it to be in here in this race, because it's been such a difficult race. The route has been very, very testing, but the racing also has been more testing, and that is the thing. I think the way they've raced right through the 3 weeks here, it's just been an unbelievable tour. And you know what exciting racing we've had. I think when you look at the 3 big tours, the Vuelta seems to be the best one of the season once again.
Absolutely. I don't know how it's happened. That they just seem to pick a parcours that suits everyone. It is a kind of a leveled playing field. I guess at the end of the season there's a lot of tired legs out there, some fresher than others, and we've got somebody who's gone the wrong side of the barriers. How on earth did he manage that?
Tireless.
One of the Francis riders just going off, and just hanging back is Geniez, waiting to relay him back on. It wasn't Rao, was it? I think it might be. He's their sprint hope today, I think. There you go.
That tells how relaxed some of the guys are on the back of the peloton here at the moment, and that is the danger as well on the final stage. You know, it's rolling along. We have seen there a lot of discussions or chatting going on there between the riders, and you always have to keep an eye just on the road, because we can see the situation there with the Française de Joux rider. You can fall off so easily, and if you're a man in the general classification with a good position, or you have a jersey, well, then you have to be real careful. But for everybody, to get here is a performance, so just you have to keep your eye on the road at all times.
You do indeed. Well, our first intermediate sprint, incidentally, comes with 35.2 kilometres to go. The last will be 17.1. Virtually academic, Sean. However, the teams competition still very much alive, and Euskaltel, the last team at full strength, will want all their men to finish well.
Yes, well, I think it's pretty much decided, because there's not a lot going to happen on the stage today, but Escatel, they have, really been fighting and working for this team classification performance, which they're losing. But yesterday, the amazing thing, they went into the stage yesterday with 5:44 ahead of Movistar and 7:56 ahead of Astana, who are second and third position. But they're leading at the moment, but just about a minute and 2 seconds they held on by yesterday. So it was a tight one, and we can see here they're just coming to the front to honour that they are the team classification winners in this year's Vuelta.
There we are then, and finishing at full strength, Euskaltel. I'm so pleased for them, to be honest. It's their last hurrah. They may get a change of colour with a change of ownership, but they have been memorable constantly throughout, particularly the Vuelta, but any race where we have graced the Pyrenees, they've been there or thereabouts for such a long time.
Yes, they have been there for a long time, and I think that within the peloton, they have made an agreement there that Euskaltel can ride on the front, because normally, it's the team of race leader who control it for the first number of laps here. But Euskaltel, all 9 riders, and they are the only team with a complete team finishing this race and winning the team classification. They're just showing the colours, and maybe it's the last time we will see the Euskaltel colours in a Vuelta, because possibilities with changes there, the colours could be totally changed next year.
Yes, with Fernando Alonso coming in, bringing money from his sponsors. He's Santander sponsored, the big bank in Spain. Financial constraints, of course, throughout many of the Mediterranean countries have meant that funding is an issue, and hence the shaky end to the season for Euskaltel Euskadi. There's one of the turns, one of the hairpins that we are dealing with today in this 3-legged star circuit. A couple of kinks along the way, but you kind of get the drift. 43 kilometres to go then on this, the final day of the Vuelta. This Tour of Spain has been magnificent. It looked like it was going to be right from the very outset, but so many surprising results, so much drama on every single day. Not a single stage could be described as a transition. They raced everyone, Sean, and everyone was a joy.
Yes, it certainly was, and when you consider everything in this race, I suppose the difficulty of the race, the amount of transfers they had, after stage finishes, the following days to go to the start, there was quite a lot of them, and it is great to see that the riders, they put on such a show. And sometimes it's like that. If you start out a race where it is aggressive in the first day, first 2 days, it just goes on and on. They continue in that way. The teams just all get involved, and riders want to be in the breakaway, and that has been certainly the case in this one.
Well, I guess it's time for us to have a brief word about the elephant in the room, which is an awful lot of speculation as to just how has Christopher Horner, at the age of 41, almost 42, managed to win the Vuelta Tour of Spain at such a late part of his career. Plenty of questions, of course, were also asked of Chris Froome, let's not forget, during the Tour de France. The French press were particularly vocal about questioning him and asking him again and again about doping. Let's just remind ourselves, though, that doping testing this is the most tested sport there is on the planet at the moment. Chris Horner's been shaken out of bed and tested throughout this event as well, let's not forget. And maybe, Sean, that it's just a fact that we have outstanding performances, and when they happen, people naturally ask questions because of the history within cycling. But let's not forget that the playing field is a lot more level these days, and that maybe it just allows those performances to come to the fore.
Yes, well, I think it certainly it allows those performances. Where we're coming from in cycling, unfortunately, when somebody produces an excellent performance, and Horner's one is certainly that, there are going to be questions asked, and it's not surprising, I suppose. We had 10-15 years where the sport went through a very difficult time, and it's going to go on for a number of years. The questions will be asked, and I suppose when you consider the time it went on, it's going to go on for quite a number of years more. But it's definitely in the last years getting to be more of a level playing field.
I think so, and I think it all started with Contador's test for 1 microgram of clenbuterol, growth hormone. found, he of course claimed it was via ingestion, eating a dodgy steak. From that point on, I think everyone who was thinking about doing something illegal within the sport thought again, and suddenly you got clean riders coming to the fore, very clean riders, squeaky clean riders, like Cadel Evans winning the Tour de France, like Bradley Wiggins, and personally speaking, absolutely like Chris Froome. These guys allowed to excel because the playing field was level. They were allowed to actually show their prowess, and well, let's just believe that Chris Horner is somebody else who's been able to step out from what has been a shadow over this sport for such a long time and actually show what he can do. And until it's proven otherwise, we just have to acknowledge what has been an amazing performance.
Yes, I think we have to definitely acknowledge the performance and of Chris Horner, and you know, if you look at his performance over the past, you know, he was always a very good rider, but over a 3-week tour he had, you know, difficult days. But when you're out for a period, and he was out for a number of months this year with a knee injury, if you can get back to the your top level, well, you know, you're going to have a lot of reserve, and that is what I think helped Horner big time. You know, with the rest period he had, he found the good form just at the right moment, and then he went on this race and there was no blips at all right through the 3 weeks. And you can do that, you know, it's amazing. Everybody, it doesn't suit them to be out for 3 or 4 months, but some guys can, you know, take that time out and get back, and then they are very performant.
Well, we've got some action here, and why not? They're just starting to think about going for it long here. Yes, let's just remind you, we are commentators, not speculators, and we love this sport, and hope that you do too. And if you've fallen out of love with it in the past, hope you can fall back in love with it soon.
We all have things we love, favourites we want to keep together. Introducing the TV that recognises you, so you can enjoy everything you love in one place with My Home Screen.
I collect snails and I collect horses.
With personalised home screens for you and your family, it's Smart TV made easy. Smart Viera from Panasonic.
Love driving. Advan. Yokohama, your tire.
For more than a decade, we have created national, Olympic, and world champions. Now, Merida takes to the road. Experience what it feels like to ride the fastest bikes. Merida, more bike.
Festina, official timekeeper, Tour de France.
Yokohama, your tire.
Welcome back. Guess who's on the attack once again? Armandia. Francesco Javier Armandia. He won the Combativity Award 4 times last year, and they went and gave it to Contador, the overall Combativity Award. Armandia has been extraordinarily busy this year as well. I think his first award for being in the break was on stage 7. Then it was on stage 9. I think he's actually done it again a couple of times. One more time, beg your pardon. Stage 17 into Burgos. Yesterday it was his teammate Arroyo who got the award, so it'll definitely be somebody from Caja Rural that gets the Combativity Award. If they don't give it to Armandia, the sulk will be magnetic. You want to be very, very far away from him because you will be affected by it. I hope they give it to him, sure.
Well, he's setting it up to try and get it here, going in the attack. He's going to, you know, get a few brownie points here. Will he have enough to get it? And that's something, yes, there is the commissars who decide towards the end of the stage, and as we can see here, he's going to go out in front. It will definitely help his case here, but sometimes, yes, the commissars, they just look at the other stages, the more difficult stages, so it'll be interesting to see, will he get it overall.
I don't know why he didn't get it last year, to be honest. 4 times he won the combativity award, and they gave it to Contador, who incidentally, winner last year, of course, has also announced today that he will be riding the Vuelta next year. And they went through Pinto as if to sort of persuade him that that's what he had to do. Pinto is hometown. They rolled through Pinto today after 16 kilometres. He wasn't there to wave them, but certainly his presence was. And this man has been ever present, it seems, in the break, and he is doing it once more. Who's been your standout, Sean? Chris Horner and Vincenzo Nibali aside, is there anyone further down the order that you think perhaps deserves a mention, that shone brighter than perhaps you thought they might?
Well, I think Nicholas Roach, he is after, making a step up again. We did see him a number of years ago in the Vuelta. He put in some great performances and very much up in the general classification. I was wondering, was he after losing the confidence that he could finish in the top 5 in a big tour? Now he's proved that he can do it again, and that is a great performance. But all the guys, I suppose Nibali we were expecting after his magnificent result in the Giro, the way he dominated the race, we were expecting to do something here, and Valverde, Rodriguez battling on. Rodriguez unfortunately not in the his best shape, because a lot of the stage finishes were perfectly made for him, but he wasn't able to perform. But he got his stage victory in the end out of this one. Valverde finishing with the green jersey and finishing on the podium. So all of the guys up there in the general classification, they put up a great race. And I suppose when you look at this, the severity of the race, the parcours and the way it raced, the guys coming out of the Tour of France, it has been a very, very energy draining race here. So all of the guys, in the top of the general, but everybody who finished this Vuelta, I think, deserves a round of applause.
I think absolutely right. Here to that. Incidentally, we are on Twitter today. It's at Carlton Kirby, and if you hashtag it Eurosport Cycling, then you will go to the wider family. Yes, I'll be really pleased to see Alberto Contador back next year. He's a great presence and a fantastic rider. It'll be superb to see him doing his stuff on essentially his home tour. Thought he'd be here this year, but it didn't quite happen for him after his exertions this season. 34.7 kilometres in total. For me, Sean, one of the big ones has been Barguil, taking it twice and looking absolutely outstanding. And if he hadn't crashed in a neutral zone, I just wonder if we would have been fating the young man ever louder.
I'm not too sure we would have been see him up there in the general classification. He is a bit young. Experience as well. I think we see that when he did win his second stage, you could see that there was a little bit of lack of experience, but certainly a magnificent Vuelta form to win 2 stages in his first big tour, a fabulous performance. And it goes on after that. The French riders, we see the success yesterday. Française Ajoux getting 2 stage victories out of it. It has been a dream race for quite a number of riders.
Yeah, the French have really excelled, and it bodes very well for the future for them. No great, as you can see, worry about pushing on to try and wind in the man who's going for the combativity overall award, Armendia. How can they not give it to him? 2 hours of racing has been completed, and there we are, 34.2 kilometres remaining of this circuit throughout Madrid today. A little bit hot and sticky today, but virtually no wind at all. You can see the flags just sort of fluttering gently upon their staffs here, their jack staffs, but as they head through, water being offered up. I don't think anyone's put in that much effort today, save for this man, Sean. It really is a proper parade, or has been until now.
Yes, well, it has been a total parade until now, and we just see our rider here in front, Armendia. He's just pushing on, and he has reasons to do that. And the riders we have seen earlier on, they have had an easy ride to go to get something from the car, to get extra bottles. It hasn't been a problem. We see Vanotti here now going in the attack. He must have an early plane. He's getting concerned.
Yeah, it has been known, particularly on some of the lumpy stages, for attackers on a final day, or even in some of the classics, to actually head through and then head straight off to the airport. Did you ever cycle to the airport, Sean?
No, I've never cycled to the airport, but there has been times during my career where it has been so tight, the final stage. When you have a split stage, for example, you could have a time trial to finish, and I have went on to the airport, just put a tracksuit over my skin suit and got on the plane in my in my time trial suit.
Pity the person who was sitting next to you. Did you buy any cologne from the duty free?
Well, there was no time for cologne, actually. It was just a real tight schedule, and you know, you do your podium. It was Criterium International, actually, when it was in Antibes, and the time trial was the second stage of the day, and you know, rushed to the airport and just about make it, but no time to go to the duty free.
Any of these guys going to make it, Sean, on a day like today? I think there's too much control, and still, despite the ardours of what has been a fantastic climbers Vuelta, I still think they've got some power in the legs to deliver some sprinters today.
Yes, I don't think there's any chance of somebody going out there in the end. When you look at all the big tours that finish on a circuit, Tour of France, Tour of Spain, breakaways, you know, you look back over the years, it has been, you know, very, very few occasions that the breakaway has managed to get away, unless you get a group of 5 or 6 riders who's really strong, and then it's always, you know, real difficult. And 2 riders out here, we can see the sprinters teams are going to take control, and I would, you know, put my money on it's going to be a bunch sprint here for the stage victory today.
Come on then, let's have 50p. Who's you call for today? And don't go giving me 6. Well, no, not in Zousty. I mean 6 different names.
Well, I think
there's a few.
We should be allowed to have a few picks, because everybody is so tired. It's difficult to make.
Have 3. Go on.
I think Tyler Farrar is going to be close here today. It's a short stage. Unless he's really cooked, he should be able to, you know, put in a great performance. But a little bit of concern. We see the times he got to finish. You know, he was a bit far off, and it looks like that. Yeah, maybe he's not sprinting to the ability he had 2 or 3 years ago. So, but when you look at the other sprinters, he should be able to, you know, pull one off here. But yeah, there's quite a number of names in there all the time. I think Richesi is the one from me, maybe, that could do today.
Didn't Tyler Farrar beat Mark Cavendish a few years ago, 2010? I think those days are kind of gone. But we'll see whether Tyler can actually turn the clock back. I also think Tyler Farrar has got a great chance today, and if it doesn't quite happen, then he's going to have to ask himself some big questions, especially as his director sportif, Binion Fernandez, was actually heaping the pressure on today, as if to say, come on, get the job done. We'll put you there. You have to deliver. There are teams like Argos Shimano, however, that have amazing sprinting ambitions. Well, you know all about what Kittel did in the Tour de France. Well, here they have Nicholas Arndt, and they also have Jens van Rensburg. Now, he's been carrying a few bumps after taking, well, a heck of a tumble. And in fact, earlier on, as one of the TV camera motorcycles went alongside him, they asked, how are you going to get on today? And he did the old come see, come sa kind of flat, shaky hand maneuver to the camera. So Van Rensburg, whether he's kidding or not, don't know. Whether Nicholas Arndt's got it together. I also think that Argos Shimano, although they're a pretty handy lead-out train, have got this final turn to deal with at the 1 kilometre to go at the Flamme Rouge, Sean. It's a big hairpin, and I don't think you can come out of that with a big enough train for them to deliver. You're probably just going to have one lead-out man in front of you, if you're lucky, at that point.
I would certainly agree. You know, when you look at the teams, Garmin Sharp, for example, they have lost, you know, 4 riders. Team Argos Shimano, 2 riders down. But the riders they have left, there's a lot of them suffering a lot, and it's going to be difficult, you know, to keep a big train on the front here. Very wide boulevard here, so unless you can go very, very fast, you're going to get you know, crowded out very quickly, and I think that is going to be the problem on this circuit. And all teams is going to be the problem, because there's so many riders tired. They're not going to be able to keep that real fast pace to line the peloton out enough. So I think it's going to be quite a scrappy sprint. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's going to be better than that. Edvald Bosenhagen A lot of people talking about him. I don't think it's his kind of stage. There is a rise, however, an uphill for the from just about the 1 kilometre to go, the Flamme Rouge, to around about what 700 metres, that kind of thing. There is a rise. I think if that had been a rise to the line, it might have suited him. However, when he got beaten by Philippe Gilbert, kind of knocked a bit of stuffing out of my belief as far as Edvald Boasson-Hagen is concerned. He'll sure be there. Whether it'll be his day, I kind of hope it is, really, because, you know, he's a nice guy. He's a fantastic, turning into an all-round performer. Still one for the classics, but I'm not sure whether he's an out-and-out sprinter these days. But there you go. I say these days, he's still a young man, of course. But Michael Matthews has been fantastic. Took stage 5. Lee Howard's pretty handy as well. Both of those guys from Orica Green Edge, let's not forget. And Orica, they don't mind getting greedy at the end of a Grand Tour where they've had to work hard to get to the very end. They've come here with these two sprinters. Can they do it again, Sean?
Well, I think Orica Green Edge are a team that are a great team to prepare the sprint. We see him, you know, on this Vuelta so many days. They're riding from a long ways out. In the final, they're always up there preparing the sprint, and they will do it once again today because they have got, you know, Matthews and Lee Howard. But it's, you know, going to be interesting to see what those guys have left. I think, again, it's all about just recovery, how much freshness is left here. There's certainly a number of sprinters there who are really suffering, and they are going to, you know, have difficulty staying to the fore, not alone to put up a big sprint.
Well, we'll see. I don't think it's rough enough for Morkov. It is going to be a straight-out battle for the line. So, Matthews, Boasson-Hagen, Farrar, possibly Richesi, maybe Van Rensburg if he's recovered. We'll get shocked now, won't we?
When we launched the GT Academy and turned a video gamer into a competitive racer, they said we were crazy. Imagine their reaction when they discover we decided to take the competition to the next level. This year at the GT Academy, Nissan Nismo fuses human performance with technology. Introducing new challenges, how will GT Academy winners unleash their talent to become Nismo athletes? Discover their stories on nismo.tv.
Decade, we have created national, Olympic, and world champions. Now, Merida takes to the road. Experience what it feels like to ride the fastest bikes. Merida, more bike.
Love driving. Advan. Yokohama, your tire.
Festina, official timekeeper, Tour de France.
Yokohama, your tire.
Welcome back. 26.1 kilometres to go. The gap 38 seconds. We've got two riders who've decided to hit and hope, but it's a very tenuous hope, I think you might say. One of these two, which is Armendia from Cairo Rural there in the green. He's been in the break so many times. It's almost he's been in the break more often than not. It kind of feels like. Took 4 combativity awards last year, failed to get the overall combativity award. I think he's going to get it this year, and he's going to make sure of that by being out there in the break one last time. Yes, I think he'll probably be back next year doing exactly the same. He's been ably joined here in the break by Alessandro Vanotti of Astana. And the pack don't seem that bothered. 35 seconds is the gap as we speak. And yes, absolutely glorious. It's do you know what we've seen, Sean, as well? Some of these days have been a little bit old school, and I don't mean that in a negative way. We've seen breakaway riders making it, and a lot of discussion previously about how radios kind of stopped all that sort of thing. Well, the Vuelta's proved otherwise.
Yes, I think it's to and for the radios. When there's a breakaway, of course, they can relay information quite well. When you've got the radios, the races where you haven't got the radio, well, the peloton do not allow the breakaway to get that big advantage because they cannot get information in the final 30, 40, 50 kilometres of the race, and they can close them down, maybe 20, 30 kilometres from the finish without radios. But when they've got the radios, they make the calculation. They're all the time, the director sportif is in contact with his riders, so he can tell them you have to up the pace a bit at 30k to go. And they just catch him in the final number of kilometres, and that gives more of a suspense in the final of a stage. So that is in one way good for radios. So I think it works. It can work both ways. It can work that you can have a very, very negative racing if you haven't got radios. So there's a lot of discussion about the radios going on, and it will go on for a long time. The safety aspect of it is another thing. The radios are important for that.
Staying with old school, Mark Fairhurst is an artist, and he sent me a poster, and it's absolutely beautiful. I've actually tweeted it if you want to have a look at it. It's got a bunch of chargers, and they're all wearing the old cycling caps as opposed to helmets, and they're heading towards a matador, and it's glorious. And I said I'd say thank you, and believe me, I'm really chuffed. It's going up in their kitchen, actually. There you go. So Mark Fairhurst is a fantastic artist, and doing some great things for cycling, albeit a little bit old school, but there's nothing wrong with that. After all, we've got Sean Kelly next to us. 23.6 kilometres. What, Sean, really has changed within cycling and the way a stage is ridden from your day?
Well, I think the aggressive racing in the start every day, that is a big change from the day when I was in there. The Vuelta was always quite aggressive racing, but you go to Tour of France and you have a mountain stage or two mountain stages, then you have a flat stage to follow. Normally there would be a downtime in the first 80, 100 kilometres, and then they would start racing. That doesn't exist anymore, and that is something of huge importance, because when you have to race aggressively every day, there's a break out front. The peloton has to keep a very high pace to control that, so it becomes very tiring racing, and that is one of the biggest changes in biking today in racing.
We're seeing some teams bringing the changes, at least those upon the front. Now, this bodes well for Lampre Merida and Mas Richese. Massey, can he do it today? Now, he's one of those that's taken a tumble, Sean. I think everyone rides their bad luck. It's just when you get it, I guess. Famously, of course, Chris Froome actually tumbled, hit the curb, actually in the rollout, the neutral zone, ahead of the very first stage of the Tour de France this year, so he got his ill fortune out the way early. Can Richese bounce back from his tumble? Likewise, Van Rensburg from Argos. Clearly, Lampre think he might be up for it today.
Yes, well, I think it's difficult to make the calculation. We see the riders there, Van Rensburg and Richese. They both had quite heavy falls. A lot of bandages there, but it doesn't mean that, they have suffered a lot. But again, if you're not sleeping well in the last 2-3 days, well, it's going to take effect. So it depends on, how much you're suffering from the injuries, and that will affect your recovery, which is so important at this point of the race.
Very much so. Interesting as well to see Omega Pharma Quick Step back in the pack, guiding Gianni Meersman for a last chance at victory. He's one of those that hasn't really shined as brightly as we thought he might. He was third behind Matthews and Richesi that we've already mentioned on stage 5. Yeah, Meersman, he's almost gone backwards. Is it just one of those cases where the parkour has eaten into him, really?
Yes, I think the parkour definitely have limited his opportunities. He's a rider that if there were stages with, medium mountain in the final, he can get through that. But the problem is the finishes here, uphill, very, very steep, a little bit too difficult for him. And, the number of opportunities he have on the flatter stages have been quite few, as has been the case for all of the big sprinters here, or the better sprinters. So, he is, and he did change. He was in the breakaway on one occasion there a number of days ago. He tried that tactic as well, to get into the breakaway and see could he stay out in front with a smaller group and to win a stage that way. But he is going to try, and we can see the team there coming to the front, so he's going to have a go here today. And again, at the end of a 3-week tour, if the other sprinters are suffering a little bit more, and you are, you're that little bit fresher, well, then you can do something. And we did see Meersman. I think he's, able to sprint against the sprinters that are in this race, because they are not the real fast men, but he surely will have a go for today's stage. He's been close a number of times, so he would love to get a stage victory, would make his Vuelta.
A lot of cycling going on at the moment. A lot of it you can see right here on Eurosport, your home of cycling. British viewers can watch the Tour of Britain. We also have the Grand Prix of Montreal this evening, which is that 28-lapper around the very tempting Fairmont Hotel where they all stay. It's got some nasty little kicks as well along the way. It's a joy that we've got so much cycling at the end of the season. A lot being crammed in right now, Sean, because we need a little respite before we get to the World Championships, which beckon.
Yes, well, the World Championships are just around the corner, and of course this race, the riders we have here, we will see some of them performing at the World Championships. Some have left us already, but you need a good race program for the road race, certainly for the World Championships. Time trial, you can go off and do that. It's a specific preparation. You can do that without racing a lot. But yes, it's a busy time for everybody. And there's teams with 3 programs running at the moment on the same weekends.
There we are, yes, and you better have some manpower about you. Wouldn't be surprised to see some of them operating short-handed. Now you see the problem here at the compression. You see what I mean about those hairpins? And there is one at the Flamme Rouge today, and you're going to see the same sort of thing. So the speeds are going to have to be high. There's going to be a lot of teams who have not had any success for their sprinters in this Vuelta, and they will be racing for that line. And so a safest place to be at the moment, even now, is reasonably to the fore. And you can see that Lamper and Merida are thinking about Massi Richesi for the quick one. Their famous pink and royal blue on display. Right now we have 2 men up the road. They've got a decent margin, but they have not a hope of staying away from a charging peloton, and believe me, they will start charging. The speed is going to start to edge up in around about 4 kilometers time. We hit it usually around 15 kilometers from home, because everyone wants to sort themselves out, Sean, at that point. There are a few, as you can see, it's already rising right now. There are these hairpins to deal with at every single end of this 3-legged star that we're dealing with on this each of these laps. And you can get squozen back, and there's a lot of ground to make up when the pace is high, and you can get caught out quite easily.
Yes, you sure can get caught out, and if you get pushed out in a corner, you can lose so many places. And if you get that in the very final, the final lap, for example, in any of the corners, then you have to make such an effort to get back in there. It's difficult to make a sprint or lead out a sprint for your sprinter. So position is going to be important here. But I think it will be pulled out quite a bit. We can see at the moment, and they're not going full on. It's stretching out already.
17.9 kilometers only remaining, and yes, as we mentioned to you earlier, there are many other events going on at the moment. We have the Tour of Britain available in the United Kingdom. If you care to search around your Eurosport programming, you can find that. And to remind you, the Grand Prix of Montreal is starting live at 18:45 Central European Time. That is 5:45 in the United Kingdom, in Portugal, and of course Ireland. So the Grand Prix Montreal is underway. There's been a volley of shots. The Siege of Montreal is not being reenacted, you'll be pleased to know, but they have, I think, 28 laps to be dealt with. So there's a lot of cycling here, a lot of enjoyment. If this is your thing, then you're in a happy place this weekend, surely. Well, how many of these riders are going to be in a happy place at the end of today? There'll be a stage winner. We already have our Vuelta winner in the form of Chris Horner. He has to finish today, of course, so the red jersey must get across the line. Chance of that gap overall of 37 seconds being nullified, absolutely zero on this kind of pace and on this kind of course. And so it's a bit of a celebration of Chris Horner at the age of 41, rapidly approaching 42. He is our champion, and the laps continue to spin down. 17.1 kilometers remaining, so 3 more laps, and don't forget you will have the bell when we have 5.7 kilometers remaining. Santa Romita, the Italian champion, just coming through towards the rear end today. Sean, there's been quite a high attrition rate. I'm hardly surprised, but those who've made it this far are not going to give up now. This is an amazing event to actually finish, and credit to every single one of them.
Yes, well, credit certainly to every single one, and some of the riders here, you know, coming into a big tour, a number of them starting their first big 3-week tour. For them to finish, it's of great importance, so everybody gets through such a very difficult Vuelta.
Pace is high. We expected that at this juncture, and we've got reasonably technical course as well. There is Kirienka, number 194, middle of your screen right now, full sky in their black, and of course that sky blue. Fantastic performance by the Iron Man it was today. And Edvald Bosenhagen, Sean, is it going to be his day?
Well, we can see him there. A number of the Sky riders just getting organised, getting together. 3 riders at least in front of Bosenhagen, and it looks like they're going to try and keep him as much as possible to the front, and you know, that he doesn't have to make any effort to move up into the wind on his own, and that is going to be important. So yeah, Bosenhagen, I think he could have a go, as we mentioned earlier in our programme, maybe try something in the final number of kilometres if the opportunity presents itself, if he feels there's a little bit of drop in pace, but otherwise in a straight out sprint I think he will also try here today.
Lucchesi goes through our pictures, so does Gianni Meersman, and Lotto Belisol also have a hand to play. Van der Sande might well be somebody who could just take that extra leap on a day like this. We'll see, maybe a long shot, but 15.5 kilometers to go. Time's not exactly running out, but it is, the clock is ticking for the Vuelta. And these guys, well, I think indeed their time cards really need to be furled. The pack are on their case, and they mean business. As Sean said, position is absolutely vital. When you come through that final kilometre, you're probably going to have one lead-out man at the turn. You're going to need him. There's not going to be much room. There's a lot of teams here who are going to fight for space. And look at this, they're mobbing the road, Sean. They're all desperate not to get caught out.
Yes, well, at the moment, you know, the pace is not real fast, and riders are, you know, able to move up, and that is the problem here with the street being so large. If you haven't got a real high pace in the end, and especially going into the final corner, that's where things can go totally wrong, and it will surely happen for some riders, and that's what you're always concerned about. And you get so many trial runs at it here as we go around for the 8 laps. You know, the riders will be making the calculation, the lead out men will be making the calculation. We have to be careful here into the final corner. We don't get crowded out, because then it's game over if that happens.
You know, I always think that if you get too many views of it, Sean, you have too much to think about, and that you don't do it naturally, and almost you have a game plan which sometimes you can be foolish to stick to.
Well, game plan, You can have the greatest game plan in the world, you know, looking out now as we go into the final 2 laps, but it can all go wrong. And you can, you know, put it into motion perfectly. You think it's working out perfectly. Suddenly there's another team who take it up real fast and just manage to come over you going into the final corner and pull quite a few riders past you, and then you're in a position where you're trying to make up lost ground. And that is the problem with bike racing, you know, to get it exactly right. If you have a good team, a good lead out men, well then the possibilities of us working out are quite big, but there's no guarantee.
Absolutely not. You just saw at that compression that the back of the peloton was almost at a standstill, while those who got through the corner first were effectively full-on racing away. So they hit 50 kilometers an hour very, very quickly, and down one of these long, lazy turns that you're looking at right now, it's fight back time for those who got caught out. And you don't want that to happen again and again and again. You see it stretched out. They'll regroup now, but for those chasing back on at the back of the pack, Sean, this is energy that they could really do without expending.
Yes, well, I think the men at the back of the pack are just hanging in there and trying to get to the finish today. They're the ones who are, you know, really struggling. It's the ones who we have in the top 40 places. I think they're the ones who are going to try and do something. There's probably some of the sprinters in there, you know, between 30 and 40 position at the moment. They feel it's okay to be here, but when you get into, you know, the final 2 laps and going into the final lap especially, well, then it's time to move up, and you need some teammates around you to make that move if you're not the team who's controlling on the front and setting the pace on the front. But as we can see here, the guys on the rear, they're just counting down the laps as they go through each time and saying, well, just, you know, roll on, we want to get to this finish.
Please, where's my jacuzzi? 12.7 kilometers remaining. 24 seconds is the gap that our 2-man breakaway have on the pack just for now. That is Alessandro Vanotti doing a great job of waving the Astana flag high and proud. And likewise, you can say, for Caio Rural's Francisco Javier Armendia, who has been in the break and received the Combativity Award, I think 3 times this race, which is a great credit to him. Can he do it once again? In fact, I'm just double checking. Stage 9, he took it stage 7 as well. And I'll be bound he's going to take it on this day too. He's put himself in the shop window for the commissaires by being part of this 2-man break. In fact, he started it with that aim in mind. He wants the overall Combativity Award, which last year went to Alberto Contador, despite the fact that Armendia had been in the break 4 times and indeed had that Combativity Award for of the day's stages last time round. Well, we'll be saying last time round in a wee while. We'll have the bell to announce the final lap, don't forget. At least I hope we will. Occasionally we've had technical problems with the bell. Clappers have been missing. Nobody could find anything to hit it with. Once saw somebody hitting a bell with a shoe. There you go. I don't think that's going to happen today. Chris Horner and the red jersey to the fore, and other riders still coming up and slapping him on the back. He is an amazingly popular rider, Sean.
Yes, very much so. I think really popular within the peloton, within the other riders, and you know, we've seen him in our interviews, and from meeting him at the race as well. When you talk to Christopher Horner, you ask him about how he's feeling, what does he think of the stage, and he just goes on and on. You know, a super nice guy. Yeah,
he's a one question half-hour documentary. If you let him speak, he will. He's great entertainment. At the line, there we are, and so it is just 2 laps remaining. Oh my goodness, who's it gonna be today? And you can see the nerves just starting to tell. Nobody smiling, not much chit-chat. It's the business end, Sean.
Yes, well, it's tense moments for everybody, more for some, the ones who are trying to prepare the sprint here, and the sprinters especially. You know, they are really getting nervous at the moment, and the ones who haven't got a stage win, the teams who haven't got something more again.
Cannondale, who's their man today? Lucas Sebastian? Ado?
Well, I think Ado, a short stage, if he's got anything left, you know, he's a really good sprinter. He should be able to, you know, put up a good sprint here. Is it going to be good enough to take a stage victory?
Well, that's the big question. But then again, I've been asking the same thing about Tyler Farrar throughout this Vuelta. He should be good enough. And I think it will be between Farrar, Bosenhagen and Richese. There you go. Those are my 3 for the line. Be completely wrong now, and Jens van Rensburg will go and win it. There you go, 10.5. Do you want to pick your day's podium, Sean?
Well, I think Richese, looking on past form, he's been very close on a number of times. So the sprinters that we've got in here, I think he's the one with that little bit more outright speed.
Well, Garmin want to control things. Here they are at the front right now. That's Alex Howes putting in displaying not only some tangerine spectacles but some face furniture as well, and indeed spinning it up good and proper. Just behind him, Lampre, Matteo Bono, keeping everybody in touch. In fact, all the great and the good are here, Sean. Hardly surprising. There's a lot at stake. This might not be the Champs-Élysées on the Tour de France, but to these guys, it is a big chance to take a big one.
Yes, and bigger for some. The ones, the bigger teams, the big teams who haven't got anything out of the race. Lampre, of course, haven't had a good tour at all. Cannondale, another really big team, you know, would love to get something. Garmin Sharp, or, you know, really hungry to get a stage victory, and they are the ones we can see very much at the fore of the peloton.
Kaya Oral. It's a name that's been writ large, in fact, during this Vuelta, and much of it's been down to this man who's just constantly been in the break. So he's done it for the shirt, which is fantastic. They haven't had a stage victory. I don't think he's going to get one today. 9.3 kilometers to go. I think this is a run to naught, unfortunately. He and Vanotti doing the fantasy ride, I think, at the moment. It would take a big moment within the peloton. We've had incidents such as that, of course, and with these hairpins, well, you never know. They might just be given their chance, but I think it would be disaster that would offer up a chance to these guys, and I'm hoping that that doesn't happen. 9 to go. Big check over shoulder. The gap can't be that much, and on these big highways, Sean, they're within sight of them. The pack are coming.
Yes, and Armendia want to hang out as long as possible, and of course for a team like Hakarual, a wildcard team in this race, they have been, you know, very active, but haven't got a stage victory. But if he can win the overall combativity award, you get on the podium, and that is of huge importance for the team.
Most certainly is. They get the recognition. So they're turning out towards the western leg of this three-legged circuit that we're dealing with. They will take the bell next time by, and we'll have our final lap. I imagine they will be racing into the next turn big time to try and light it up. Maybe some even think about going long. Now, usually the pace increases dramatically up until about the 5 kilometer mark, and then we have a bit of a hiatus while teams sort themselves out and think about it again. But I think they're going to go quicker for longer, and it's Cannondale that are leading the charge right now for Lucas Bastianado, and these guys are done for. So the pace is up. We're almost at near racing sprint finish speeds, Sean, right now.
Yes, well, the pace is just upping all the time. We can see here, you know, the peloton is starting to stretch out, and 64 kilometers per hour. You know, they have control of the situation, and it looks like Cannondale are the ones who are taking control on the front of the peloton.
Well, they appeared out of that corner like they were on rails. Fantastic. What a dramatic sight this is. And don't try and nip in on the inside, because the door will be slammed shut upon you. And that's what's happened to Sky. And they're out of the saddles trying to make amends for exactly that. 2 Sky men are there, one of whom is Edvald Bosenhagen in a half-decent position. But you can see the fight for road space is on, Sean.
Yes, well, it's coming into the final lap. It's so important that you keep your place up in the front of the peloton. And we can see there's just going to be movement all the time, but you know, the team on the front, they're going to try and up the pace as much as possible to prevent that from happening.
Well, the pack are onto them. These are the 2 hares, and the hounds are breathing down their neck at the moment. This is going to be a dramatic turn. Next one that we have on the approach to the finish line, where we will get the bell for one more lap, and then every single turn is going to be as hairy as you like. Oh dear, the clouds are gathering here. It's as if it's very pre-stormy feel to Madrid, and somebody is going to get struck out there, surely. Let's just hope everyone stays safe. Another tight corner right now. Watch the squeeze and watch those slow down behind and watch Lamprey just kick away. They've gone for this and they've gone for it very early. Clever, clever, clever stuff, Sean.
Yes, well, if you're on the front end of the peloton, in the top 5-10 riders, you can go around the corner with much more ease. You know, you don't have to knock down your speed at all. Where, you know, further back you go, the more you have to brake coming into the corners, and then you've got to make up that lost ground when you come out of the corner. But we can see here, you know, it's very much grouped together all the time, and that is going to be the problem here, I think. You know, there's no team with 4 or 5 riders they can put in the front. They just haven't got the men in the race, maybe, or they just haven't got the strength levels at this point in the race.
Saxo Tinkoff thinking about Michael Morkov. He's the man, don't forget, on the heartbreak day of Tony Martin. He beat Richesi, let's not forget. He beat Farrar. He beat Matthews. Can he have the beating of everybody? Well, Saxo Tinkoff in their navy blue and gold have come to the fore, sharing it with Cannondale at the moment, and Belkin also offering something up today. I think it might be just a question of safety. And Cannondale also right here, right now for Lucas Sebastian Ado. Cross the line they come, and the bell doth ring out. So Sky hit the fore. They've reformed themselves at just the right time. It's our final lap. Only 7 seconds is the gap. It's all over for the escapees. It's all now down to this: how you take these turns, these twists and turns, as well as that, the pace, which is absolutely top draw at the moment. There's going to be no respite. Look at this. That's a fight to stay away. But they are coming, and here it is. 4.9 remaining. We are on a charge.
Yes, and it's Sky who is taking up the charge here. We can see at least 4 riders. It's Kirienka who's leading at the moment, but it's a good position to be in. But yeah, they need to be able to continue it for all of this final lap.
Argo Shimano also in a pretty good place. They've got a couple of spare riders back here of no concern. They're quite happy to thin out, drop men as they require them. Now then, this is an important corner. They will all be as we approach the finish. Sky in a great place. Lamprey still there. They've saved a lot of energy by being on the front for a long time. Sounds like a strange thing to say, but they're always protecting their sprinter, let's not forget. And he hasn't had to race on. And look at the effort that these guys are having to put in just to get back at the guys who up front are cruising.
Yes, well, it's a situation when you're, you know, back in this point, the riders we're seeing at the moment, you know, they are too far off, and we can see it Sky. They have, you know, numbers up here, and that's what is very important. If you have 3-4 riders who can keep pushing the pace on, keep it at the desired level, well, then you're going to, you know, be in a real good position. And Bosenhagen is, you know, perfect position, but will they be able to hold it still with 3.9 to go?
Well, who else other than the metal man, Vasil Kirienka, who took stage 18 with such aplomb. There he is, out there and firing on all cylinders. Neta Endura also joining the cause. It's right-hand side of your picture, just starting to nose in. Zach Dempster, don't forget. Oh, and of course Garmin Sharp with Tyler Farrar, and he is here, and he means business. 3.5 to go. They know this is going to be very, very tight at the end. Probably one lead-out man at the final corner, and once again Neta Endura punching above their weight. 3.3 to go, 53 kilometers an hour. It's knocked back just a bit. We're on a ramp right now. Now, don't forget, with 1 to go, we will take a hairpin, and then we have an uphill drag before a lazy right-hander at 300 meters, and then the line doth beckon. It's all go, Sean.
It's Garmin Sharp who are keeping the pace real high. Van Summeren there, we see Alex Rasmussen upping the pace, and then Van Summeren taking it over. And there is a Nitap rider who is just in between that mix-up. But Farrar is very much in a good position here, and Garmin are just keeping control for the moment.
Gregor Boller's also there, trying to do it all on his lonesome for Bacon Soleil. It'll be their last Grand Tour as a team. We remind you, Garmin trying to reach out and grab for it. point, are they? And they're going to go early. Netep Endura strike off the front. It's a big chance, but it's a long one. A very, very long shot. And look at this drag that we've got right now. Oh, I think it's Zach Dempster who's going to have a crack here. And is he going to make it? Sky out to nullify that challenge. Driving on as they come under or over one of these little rises and falls. Wait for the Flamme Rouge. That's the crucial moment. How you take the last hairpin. And then, again, we're going to have that little right, that little ramp up, as we said, as we head for the line. Oh, it's all go. The teams had better be careful, actually, that they don't have somebody get the jump on them at the moment. And Netef Endura, are they going for glory? Well, of course they are. But is it too early? We think so. And here come the chargers right now, and suddenly it is that Lampre Merida lighted up thinking about Richese. Look at that, what a sight it is, and what a frightener. The cameraman almost losing it as he heads to try and get out of safety. The rider himself using the cameraman almost as a foil, and the cameraman trying to drift away and stop that from happening. 1.4 to go. This is just a right-hand kick that they're having to take, and there the hairpin doth beckon right now. They're at full speed. Almost, Sean.
Yes, well, I think just allowing the team Netap driver to hang out there, and we can see there's a mixture of the teams who have got sprinters, and you know, they are in control. Very difficult to see a rider just holding off from this point.
Well, he's been reabsorbed right now as we head for the Flamme Rouge. They throw in an arc shot. It's going to take something flamboyant if they're going to make this, and here comes Sky. It's a well-marshalled unit. You know all about them. So do Orica Greenedge, who suddenly appear. Leah Howard and Michael Matthews are both on form and ready to race. So are Argos Shimano with Arndt and Van Rensburg in the frame. Oh, and here comes Tyler Farrar and his boys just out of position, just getting back into position right now. You need two men to take this final corner with great effect. Argos Shimano are bullying everybody. They've got three. The motorcycle stops filming. Around they come. This is where it counts, Sean. How you make the escape and what you've got.
Yes, well, it's all about being positioned here. The top 5 or 6 riders, you have to be in there, and it looks like Argos Shimano are taking control.
Argos Shimano do take control. We're in the final kilometre. It's all about now. And who's going to press the button? And suddenly
Fletcher.
It is Fletcher that's out there. He can't surely make it and turn the clock back, just like we've seen Horner do, onto his back wheel right now. It is Richese from Lampre as he zigzags all over the road, and Argos Shimano start looking. There is Matthews and Howard. Who's it going to be that takes it for Orica Greenedge? Is it going to be either one of them? Well, the signs at the side of the road are running out, telling them that there's 500 metres, and suddenly they knock the pace back, and then as if by magic, they hit out once more. Art and Van Rensburg it is that go for this. Oh, and Lotte Belisol also wants to join the fun with Van der Sander. He's going to come round and try and go wide, is he? Oh, who's left in this one? Can Tyler Farrar finally make it? It's going to be Argos' days in. No, Orica Greenedge hit the front. Brilliant stuff, dragging Farrar towards the line. Oh, and Orica wrap this one up and give themselves a present. What an effort that was.
Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant work.
Yes, what an effort by Matthews. He just, you know, timed the sprint well, and Argos Shimano, a great lead out, but they didn't have it in the end. It was Matthews perfectly timing, and what a great victory.
He just can't help himself. Stage 5 was Orica Greenedge's, and they have wrapped it up on stage 21 as well. Thrills and no spills, just the way we wanted it, to wrap up this magnificent event. And there is our champion. Oh, Christopher Horner gets the hug. He's made it the greatest win of his very, very long and illustrious career. And he starts to hand out the hugs, and I'm not surprised. Sean, another great finish to what has been a terrific Grand Tour.
Yes, terrific is the word, and it has been an unbelievable tour this year, and a nice finish. Of course, you know, this final stage is a bit of a roll in until we get to the final laps. A magnificent sprint, and everybody got through safely, which is very important.
Well, Chris Horner handing out the all rights. There was not a lot left to be said. Oh, here we go. What a drive this was, and yet again, how superb have they been. Orica Greenedge just constantly, and by a bike length as well. Tyler Farrar beaten fair and square at the line, and Michael Matthews delivering once more, making it 2-stage wins for him and a great Vuelta for Orica Greenedge. Well, there we are. Some stalled towards the end. Tyler Farrar beaten once again, but Michael Matthews has been a man on terrific form in the sprints, and yet again he's shown his prowess in this company.
Yes, well, he is a rider that has, improved all the time. Under 23 world champion a number of years ago, and he's adapted quite well into, the higher level, and, winning in a big tour. The way he won that one, he was there in a good position, and just took up his sprint at the right time. Argus Shimano did a real good job. Art had a real good lead out there, but he just hadn't got the power in the end, because if he was in the shape that he needed to be, well, then the lead out was just perfectly. But Michael Matthews, the faster of the sprinters left in this race.
Congratulations to Christopher Horner. What a way to crown a career. How much riding has he got left in him, Sean? It's going to be a big question.
Well, I think, on the way he's riding in this one, he's going to be around. He said all the interviews at the beginning of the tour he wants to go on now, winning the Vuelta. He hadn't got a contract at the beginning of it, but he certainly will have one very shortly.
Michael Matthews takes the final stage ahead of Tyler Farrar, Nicholas Arndt, Gianni Meersman. Richesi was there, Boller, Petit, Van Rensburg, Lasker and Wagner. Where was Sky? Where was Eddie Boss at the moment of truth? Well, there was an awful lot of quality out there, and it was a hard one to pick, but in the end, Michael Matthews kind of made it look easy. T-shirt still out, Sean, here in Spain. It's a very different story on the Tour of Great Britain, which is at the moment on British Eurosport. And we have Montreal later as well, which has already got underway with gunshots. But we've been blessed with some great weather here, haven't we?
Yes, well, it's been a fabulous Vuelta. The weather has been really good. Unfortunately, for the big mountain stages in the Pyrenees, it changed rapidly from being so warm then to getting the wet, colder conditions, and some of the riders paid the price dearly. Other ones, went out of the race, but in general, it's been a great weather-wise Vuelta.
It has been wonderful. Well, there is a picture of the screen, Munch's screen, actually looked like a pear with a couple of bruises, but anyway, apparently that's what it's supposed to be. It is, of course, in recognition of the environmental impact of the world, and how cycling is, in fact, of course, the best way for you to get around. Yes, we do in fact have the Tour of Beijing coming up as well. Beijing, a country which almost is, it's big enough. A place where cycling once was very much part of the heart of that great city. Sadly, no longer the case. But we are going to have a tour there, which is good. There is the Grand Prix of Montreal going on at the moment. 180 kilometres of constant laps around the park, the University District, port side, and then up past the Fairmont Hotel. Lots of ramps, quite testy, and you can enjoy that, of course, as well. Here's our stage winner.
For Orica, and both for you. And the last here in Madrid. Both a very special Vuelta for you.
It couldn't have finished off any better. We lost a fair few guys through the tour, so we only had me and 4 other teammates to help me for the sprint today. But yeah, everyone done their job 100% and put me in the right position to launch myself for the sprint. So yeah, it's been an amazing tour. I couldn't have imagined it finishing any better than this. And yeah, coming into my first Grand Tour with 2 stage wins and having the green jersey for a few days it's very special to me, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life.
I suppose for a sprinter as you, the Vuelta is a very tough road with a lot of mountains, and really we have had 2 sprints.
Yeah, it's really difficult. There was a lot of lot of climbs in the last few weeks, and yeah, I think you got to just save as much energy on those climbs as you can, and really focus yourself for the stages that you think you can do well on.
You are very young. What's your next goal for the future?
Hopefully the Tour de France next year. Hopefully get a start with the team, and at the moment just about to ride the Road World Championships with Australia. So yeah, really looking forward to that.
Congratulations and enjoy.
Thank you.
22-year-old Michael Matthews, double stage winner in the Vuelta. Fantastic. Well, he'd be hard to ignore, Sean, by that team.
Yes, and we did hear him say, you know, to conserve in the mountain stages, and that's what it's all about. If you're a sprinter, you have to, you know, get yourself into the group, the bus as they call it in cycling terms, conserve your energies, and you know, go for the stages that you know, suits your type of riding, and I think that's what Matthews have been doing. And if you can do that, if you can be in the group that just works the calculation, the time limit, and you're in that comfortable, well then, you know, the stages that will suit you as a sprinter, you have a great opportunity of winning more ones.
Well, he did exactly that, finishing 3 hours and 40 down, but he's got 2 stage wins to his name, taking it ahead of Tyler Ferraro, also saved himself, I think. 4 hours and 12 down overall, finishing second. Unfortunately, no victory for Tyler Ferrar here. Nicholas Aert did a terrific job for Argos there, and Van Rensburg, who led him out round that corner, finishing 8th. So again, credit to Argos where it is due. Christopher Horner is our champion, maintaining that gap as of yesterday to Vincenzo Nibali of 37 seconds. So Chris Horner will be crowned. Nicholas Ede, crowned king of the mountains, did a super job yesterday. No climbing today, really fought hard for that blue polka dot. And the points, Alejandro Valverde taking that with some aplomb ahead of Chris Horner, Joaquim Rodriguez and Nicholas Roche, 4th in that competition after just fading a bit yesterday. But Nicholas takes a lot from this, let's not forget. He finishes 5th behind Joaquim Rodriguez, Alejandro Valverde 3rd overall, Vincenzo Nibali runner-up to Chris Horner. Yeah, chapeau Nicholas Roche as well. Stage win, 5th overall. Every box ticked, I think, just about for him.
Yes, well, you know, a stage victory. His first one in a big Grand Tour, finishing 5th in the general classification. A magnificent performance.
There's your general classification of the UCI World Tour. Chris Froome leads Joaquim Rodriguez, Nibali, Valverde, Sagan, Cancellara, Quintana, who's looking very cold on the Tour of Britain, I might add, Richie Porte, Kreuziger and Dan Martin. The big hole in Chris Horner's season spoken in volume there. Took 5.5 months out due to a leg injury, and it seems that the rest did him the power of good. So Madrid, it's very much got that autumnal feel, but as you can see, the trees still quite verdant in this part of the world. And evergreen it seems. Chris Horner, our champion. People are going to be talking about this for a long time, I hope, for all the right reasons, Sean.
Yes, I think it will give a lot of people inspiration to get out on their bikes there, and you know, there's a lot of people take up biking quite late in life, guys in clubs who are pushing on to that great old age of 40. It's going to make him very competitive, and you guys out there, I think in clubs there's going to be a lot of hard bike rides, because when they see Horner, what he can do, there's going to be a lot of them feel they can do the same.
Yeah, did you retire too early, Sean, after seeing what Christopher Horner has done?
No, I think I had an 18-year period, an 18-year career. I started quite young, and that's what is, if you start off very young, well then, of course, you can't go on that long. It depends on your program of races as well. You know, Christopher Horner started off, he was in American teams, probably a lighter program in the first number of years. For that reason, you can continue on to quite late.
He is, incidentally, a burger and pizza fan. His nutrition has not been the best over the years. He does occasionally in the close season let himself slide a bit, but absolutely at his rock solid best when it came to the race that mattered, the 68th Vuelta. Well, Sean, we've had 2 amazing Vuelta, and how on earth are they going to match that next year?
well, it's going to be difficult to match it. And you know, looking at last year, we said that it was, you know, an unbelievable Vuelta, such great racing every day. And here we go again. This year is probably, you know, has bettered it. So, you know, where they go, they're going to be a point where we're going to have a difficult year to match, you know, the past 2 years.
The quartet of towers that stand out just in the business district here. It looks like there was a tower factor competition, and well, pick your own. Didn't space them out evenly though, did they? No. We're about well, we are waiting for our celebration podiums, but it seems that we may well be beaten by time, I'm afraid, on a very busy weekend. A lot of interviews going on. Yet another look at how that final victory was delivered by an absolute charging Michael Matthews. And in the end, Tyler Farrar. Well, we've been asking a lot of questions about Tyler Farrar, and indeed his own team were almost demanding victory from him today. He didn't deliver, Sean, and there you see the head bob, and with disappointment. That's a big one missed for him.
Yes, well, a big one missed, but we could see there that when Michael Matthews took up his sprint, Farrar was just sprinting really for second place in the slipstream. Priedler was much the same situation. He got a great lead out, but Matthews was the one, when he went for the sprint, he just took that bike length and a half from everybody else.
Well, we are hearing that our podium is about to happen. Now, we've got around a window of about 15 minutes, a little bit less than that now, in order to get as many podiums as we possibly can. Top of the hour, we have other live programming here. The European Rally Championship doth beckon. But we will try and stay as, well, we will stay until that point where we will be forced to leave by other live programming. It is a live-driven channel, of course. And so they're making the preliminary announcements right now, trying to gather the great and the good in front of the podium. And we just hope that we can see the awards taking place. First up will be our stage winner, of course. And then I'm hoping that it'll be Chris Horner, and then as he's after that. If they leave Chris on until the end, we may well be beaten by time, unfortunately. You'll be able to catch up with it, of course, throughout Eurosport with our news programming. But anyway, let's just keep our fingers crossed, shall we? I think positively. This man, well, not a negative thought in his mind, I shouldn't think. After that, second stage win for Michael Matthews, and impeccably delivered, Sean.
Yes, very well calculated, very cool in the sprint, and you know, he was in a real good position, but you know, did not take it up too early. He just was there making the calculation, and when he went for the sprint, when he opened up, he just pulled away from the rest, and was by far the fastest over that final 150 meters.
So there is our stage winner. I think, did they give combativity for the day or for the entire event right at the very end? I think that may well be the last of the awards. He's being asked to stay there. Are they going to give a full winning podium on the day's stage? If they are, then he's going to be standing there on his Jack Jones for quite some time. Hands on hips. He's watching the Flower Girls disappear and thinking, where's McCarver? Well, there he is, wondering what's happening. He's not alone, Sean.
No, not alone. And is he going to get another award here, because he has been presented with the stage victory, but who is going to get the combativity award for the day, and more so the overall classification for the two of the combativity award?
Well, to me that looks like the combativity award for the day, and if that's the case, I'm going to shed a tear on behalf of our brave soul Armandia, who was out there doing his job once again. Maybe they've given it him for the entire thing, so they didn't want to have him on the podium twice. I hope so, Sean. That seems just.
Yes, well, he did go out there with the intention of getting the combativity award for the day, but it seems that the commissaires decided to give it to Matthew as our stage winner, but the overall one is the one he's really going for, and I think the effort out front, it will help a lot to get the overall award for the combativity.
Hope so. So there we are, our stage classification once again. In case you missed it, where were you? Very dramatic, as we have said and witnessed. And Orica, once again, it seems, when it's the sharp end for the quick men, always to be counted. And here he is, Chris Horner, our champion. Well, I'm pleased that he is coming to the podium to take the red jersey for the final time. It's the day that counts. And this man, well, if you count him, the number is 37 seconds. That was the gap in the general classification that he had at the end of this great race. Well, it was extraordinarily close throughout. Vincenzo Nibali rode brilliantly. The Giro champion, though, not able to add the Vuelta to his palmarès. Now for Chris Horner, his first Grand Tour, and doing it at the age of 41, almost 42, we remind you. Bravo. What a sweet moment for him at the end of a long career, Sean.
Yes. What a sweet moment at any time in your career, but more so for Christopher Horner, you know, when you consider the point of time he's in his career, his age, to win it like this, it's sweeter again, and chapeau, it's just been an unbelievable performance by him, and he's certainly, you know, the deserving winner. He went out there and fought, and we see yesterday Nibali, the way he put him under the attack many times. You know, he rode a splendid race all the way through.
A sustained performance, I think you can call it. And he took 4 attacks from Vincenzo Nibali yesterday and then imposed his will upon this race. And Horner triumphant. Confirmation of how they finished this 68th Vuelta. Horner beating Nibali by 37 seconds. Valverde, 1 minute and 36 down. Joaquim Rodriguez, who they said this course was built for, 3 minutes and 22 adrift. And Nicolas Roche distancing Domenico Pozzovivo by 49 seconds, finishing in 5th place. And, of course, wearing Matthew's jersey at one point, and, of course, a stage winner as well. Tanel Kangar, 11th place ahead of Harada, all listed there for you. So Horner comes back for the combined jersey, I believe this is. The white jersey. He said he was pleased to get rid of the white jersey when he went back into red, because normally it designates the young rider on any Grand Tour. And he says, at my age, what am I doing with a young rider's jersey on? He joked, of course, it was the general combined, which is the leader in all 4 of the competition, Sean.
Yes, the best in all 4, of course, and he has, you know, been leader of that classification for quite a long time, and other riders, we see a number of riders carrying it for him on different stages.
So we're going to take our leave in around 3 minutes' time. I'm hoping that it'll be Alejandro Valverde up next, and then Nicolas Ede with the King of the Mountains, Valverde, taking the points standings. It's a shame. I don't think we're going to be here to see Euskaltel take the team title. Here is the combined classification for you, and it's a minimalist competition, as you can see. And so it is Chris Horner that takes it. Nibali, Valverde, Nicolas Roche finishing 4th in this competition. Well, we are about to take our leave, I'm afraid. Here is the polka dot jersey. Nicolas Ede will be the man that takes the King of the Mountains, and I guess, Sean, it has a right to appear before the points jersey on this event, because it really was about the mountains, and Ede did a great job of defending that.
Yes, he did a real good performance. When he got into the position of possibility of winning it, he you know, upped his game a lot, got into the breakaways and took the points on the stages when he needed to, and it wasn't an easy one at all, because with some of the big favourites very close to them, pushed in a great performance.
Great tour for the French. 4 stage wins, some young riders revealed to us, and Nicolas Ede taking the blue polka dot jersey as the king of the mountains here on La Vuelta. Well, as we said, it was all about the mountains, the climbs, and Ede was no slouch. He defended beautifully again and again, while others, including Daniele Ratto, tried to take it from him. Chris Horner finishing behind him in this classification, incidentally. Shows you what Nick Ede did out there. Terrific. Well, it's time for us to bid you a fond farewell, and it is a fond one after a fantastic event. Let's remind you that the Grand Prix of Montreal is live coming up, and Tour of Britain, of course, will be live throughout in British. 18:45 Central European Time. You can catch up with the Grand Prix of Montreal. That is 5:45 in the United Kingdom. From me, Carlton Kirby, and from Sean Kelly, may I just thank you for being along for the ride on what has been an absolutely enthralling Vuelta. The Tour of Spain was never going to disappoint. It certainly didn't, and we have a fantastic champion to boot. Bye-bye.